Hello and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Schultz, and today I'm joined by a couple of my good buddies. We've got Clinton Bonner and we've got Adam Emmert. Adam, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, man. Good to be here. It's here, but guys, training camp has started. It's officially the beginning of the season, right? No more breaks, no more weeks of no football news. And I know, Clinton, you had a few things that kind of caught your attention here in the first couple days that I think maybe we should discuss a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it interesting? Is it not interesting? We had a discussion about that over text, whether this was interesting news or not. So let's
and what can one do besides like get around what's out there, right? It's been 2 days of camp and get excited about it, and then try to, I guess, suss out what are the absolute nothing burgers or potential nothing burgers, all the way up to, as you would say, Adam, like, what actually might matter, right? So I think that's exactly what we intend to do. So I labeled it, guys, Camp Buzz, right? So we went back to camp and that one time in band camp, and now it's Camp Buzz days. So the one thing I thought would be cool to start off with, because Adam, you were helping a buddy out and on the road recently when the Noah Fant news broke. We had put a poll out, and I thought I wanted to get your take on this because Brandon and I discussed it on the last episode, which was a lot of fun. But we'll talk about that later. Yes, go subscribe, all those things. We'll hit you up later. But more importantly, we talked about, Fant is gone, and are folks more excited about AJ Barner's prospects for the year or Arroyo's? And when we covered it the other day, the poll was basically brand new. I only put it up like an hour or two before we recorded. Couple days later, a few more hundred votes, and still Arroyo with like 55-45 over Barner. People are more excited about Arroyo. So, but what about you, dude? What do you think about the move with Fant? And then where is your excitement? Who do you like better heading into the year?
Second highest cap hit on the team. And when you look at that in comparison with impact / production, I can see why Noah Fant's gone. And especially when you end up spending the type of draft capital that they did on Arroyo, you're going to want to get a look at him a little earlier than later. I think one of the things it has to speak to is that previously in OTAs and all that stuff in minicamp, Arroyo must have made an impression, like to enough to where they said, hey, we're comfortable if we don't have a, consummate professional tight end in Noah Fant. We can move on from him, get out from underneath at least some of that money, and move forward with some of these young guys and kind of the youth movement. So who am I most excited for of the two young guys? The answer is catfish. Yes. Yes. Both these dudes, because they're both going to be on the field probably more often than we've seen in years past. Just with Kubiak and the way that he likes to get after things in 12 personnel or maybe even 13 personnel, you start getting that kind of more heavy sets. Now, that might help kind of disguise the fact that Arroyo at this point in his career, according to everybody that watched him in college, is more of a one skill player in terms of being a passing threat and maybe not so much a blocker. And if you get him out there with AJ on a ton of different plays, then you're going to run. You might run to AJ's side, but at least you're breaking up tendencies, and maybe it makes it a little easier to keep him on the field that way. And so I'm excited for AJ because he seemed to be really great at coming up with those kind of clutch 4.5, 6 yard gains that you needed just to kind of move the sticks. Was a good blocker, tough dude. And I think that sort of consistency, kind of Zach Miller style almost, would be awesome to see. And then, man, as Seattle fans, guys, how often have we looked at the tight end position and been like, ooh, if we could just have one of those, Gronk types or Gonzalez types or that sort of thing, just how much more that opens up the offense. Arroyo could be that dude. And that's what's so exciting about it. So to pick one over the other, can't do it. I like both these guys. I like what I saw to AJ, and the upside with Arroyo is just too tantalizing.
So Brandon, right down the middle there, kind of like,
there was no both option on the poll that I remember.
The funny part is too, when people comment, we'll put these out there on YouTube, and then people are like, the answer is both, which is what you just did. And I'm like, I purposely put it out there to make you make a choice because that's the point of the question.
Keep trying to make me do things, Clinton. See how that goes.
Exactly. Yeah. And the idea of it, the excitement word is interesting too, because what's exciting to you, I mean, or like me, you guys know I like to plan stuff. I find planning exciting. And obviously, Adam, that's not exactly how you would like to go through things. So not your favorite thing, right? So so I chose that word too because I thought it'd be like, well, you interpret what exciting is. And we had one of the comments, I should go get his name, because we appreciate all the comments, even when they're like a little bit, jabbing back. That's actually great. It's like it's not about excitement, it's about this. And I was like, I understand that, but that's why I use the word, because it does make you think. So Brandon, a couple of days on from this now, any other thoughts or hearing how Adam chose no sides at all and said they're both Seahawks, let's go. But any other thoughts about the tight end room a full 2 days later?
Yeah, gosh, Adam, pick a side already. I'm tired of always telling you that.
There is one person in this planet that I will not take a lecture on making a decision, and that is you, Captain Indecisive. No, thank you.
I love it. That's great. Okay, cool. Good enough. All right, so we're gonna go. So the rest of the episode, we're gonna go.
Fine, Arroyo. There you go.
But good, cool. I'm glad you decided on the wrong guy. That's awesome. All right, we're gonna go through.
That's what I do. Yeah,
we're gonna go through news and notes so far for the first 2 days of camp, and I always like to tell this story very quickly. Is that the idea that, I think everybody knows by now that I grew up in New York. I grew up in Long Island. I'm born in Queens, and I become a Seahawks fan. And as a Seahawks fan, I had to send away for that paper, like the Seahawks Insider. There was I'm like 12 years old. There's no news. It's late July. Do you think like sitting in Long Island, Deer Park, Long Island, I get a lick of news about the Seattle Seahawks in late July? And now in 2025, we got all these awesome beat reporters doing their thing that are there. We have exposure to it, and we could digest what they're saying and then go back into things we've previously said and start to either reshape or basically maybe even maybe bolster some opinions that we had on dudes that were drafted and some free agents that were brought in that we're excited about and why and what it might mean. And I guess, guys, that's kind of starting to take shape already. So I just enjoy the fact that it's 2025 and we have as much access to the Seahawks as we possibly want. Brandon, do you feel it's a golden era in that way?
Well, it's great too, because not only do you have the coverage, but you're hearing from the coaches directly. You're hearing from the players directly. After a day of training camp, you've got Coach McDonald out there talking about, and you hear the answers coming directly from him. So you don't even have to wait until the newspaper and what quote they decide to choose to put in the story. No, you're hearing all of the answers directly. And then just after training camp on Thursday, we get Sam Darnold out there. We get Devin Witherspoon. And just by the answers, the way that they answer the questions, and also the answers that they come up with, it just gives you more of a sense of their personality. With Mike McDonald, for example, you can notice going back to year 1 to year 2, it's like he has a different kind of sense of command over the football team, command over a press conference. Like you can see him growing into that coaching role. And that's one of the things that I think has got me all excited already about just 2 days in. It's thinking about that idea. Okay, Mike McDonald now has a year under his belt and he still has room to grow.
Yeah, love that. Adam, I was on the Barbershop podcast. Shout out to those guys, Maestro and Trey. They were great. Go check it out on Barbershop Football Talk. Really cool dudes. And I talked a bit about what Brandon was saying there about like, hey, we were a 10-win team last year, and this defense was basically right on the edge of a top 10 team after being not so top 10 the first 7-8 weeks of the season. And it really came down to, I think, McDonald's very quick maturation, what they were buying into, the scheme, and the excitement for what year 2 holds. So are you seeing any of the stuff that Brandon is alluding to already from our year 2 coach?
Mike's never seemed like a super excitable guy, but somehow he seems even like a little calmer, but not in a bad way whatsoever. And I think maybe that points to what Brandon was saying, just kind of feeling a little bit more in control. And maybe it's also that now going into this year with the offensive staff that he has now with the Cubes, he's feeling like there's more of a marriage and philosophy and style between the two sides of the ball. And
it can't get more divergent.
that's true. And so I think that's got to feel good. And I wonder too if he's feeling a little bit more in charge, secure, however it is that you want to put it, because they did move on from Tyler Lockett, and they did move on from DK, and they did move on from Geno, and they did move on from some more of Pete's guys, to where now the guys that are in the room are really a part of his culture. And I think that probably helps a little bit too. So you kind of add all those things up, and it does feel like that there's a confidence there. In I think you would have to be when you think about where that defense started at the beginning of the year, making some personnel changes towards what was that, week 5 or so, when they redid the whole linebacker room.
Like that 5 through 7, basically, maybe 6,
Yeah,
8, something like
somewhere
that.
in there.
Yeah.
And then the maturation of the defense and how it all came together after that, and then trending towards a top 5 defense at the end. It's hard not to be just almost out of your mind excited for the idea of a dominant defense returning to Seattle, that the 12s are going to be behind and making that home field advantage what it once was, just amping it back up to that level. So yeah, it's been cool here in the pressers. It's hard not to get a little geeked up about it.
Yeah, as you can say, we're all up in our shoulders a bit. We're all a bit juiced, and we're day 2, and it's July 24th, but that's because we're sickos and we love it. So it's all good. And we spoke about defense. So we're going to go through these things that are standing out from day 1 and day 2 of camp. Again, some of the stuff we're hearing and what do we think is the most interesting stuff, and does it matter? And when we talk about defense, I'll start here, guys. So, for last year, we bring in Beefy Boy Hankins, and those watching on YouTube, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. You can see it there. He's got the big beefy boy arm, but he's on the, what they call it, the NFI, the non-football injury list to start camp. He's older, but of all my whole thing is, of all the positions where your 13-year veteran is not going to be available to start camp, nose tackle is one of the ones where I'm like, oh, don't let it be nose tackle. So Brandon, I think this might be a little bit more than a nothing burger. Am I freaking out for no reason? Talk me off the beefy boy ledge, please.
I mean, Al Woods still has to be available out there. So until we get to the start of the season and he's not out there and available on the roster, like I know that depth is out there somewhere. And I maybe am joking a little bit about Al Woods, but nose tackle depth, it's one of those positions where it's not one that costs you a whole lot to go out and get. Teams tend to jettison guys who might be veterans, a little bit older. Maybe they don't want to pay the salary for them. They're good at plugging holes up the middle. And without that pass rush component, those guys don't cost a lot. It's probably why, to this point, John Schneider hasn't done a whole lot. And I guess I'd prefer Hankins over some of the guys that we've seen. But what's the worst case? That Byron Murphy goes out and plays more nose tackle to start the season?
Well, that's what I want to toss to Adam, right? We talked about this the other day. Like, that is where the fear actually comes from for me. It's like, okay, I know that Murphy and some combination of Murphy and Reed can go do the deed at nose tackle and play the one tech. I don't want that. I want Murphy to go get the opportunity that he's craving for. He's been talking about it basically all offseason. Like, hey, they're promising me more time at 3-tech. And a couple of episodes ago, I used the Anchorman theme. Brandon was like, I don't believe you. Like, not that I don't believe Murphy. I don't believe the Seahawks right now, because they didn't go draft like an Alfred Collins. They didn't go get a young nose tackle. So you have a 13-year veteran, Adam, with a bad back.
Okay. So is Matt Stafford practicing right now?
I don't know. I'm not a Ram fan. I'm not the Ram fan.
Turns out he's not. Why is Matt Stafford not practicing right now?
He's old.
Because bad no elbow.
That's a bad back.
That's exactly right. You got to the old part. They have him lower back issue, non-football injury related list. You know what? This might as well just change the name of this list to dude's been playing in the league for freaking forever. No need for him to be out here. And on top of all of that, nose tackle is the one position in this Mike McDonald defense where you're probably not dropping out into zones and doing all sorts of crazy stuff in the disguise. You're nose tackle. You're going to be there right in the middle. That's all you're doing. And Johnathan Hankins doesn't need to learn anything more about that. And then just read the tweet right here. It says it's not expected to be anything long-term. All this is his injury is that he's played in the league for 13 years and they're saying, big boy, no worries. Be ready to roll week 1. It's going to be fine.
I love it. There's a Bob Marley song in there somewhere, Brandon. Big boy, no worries. So Clinton can stop crying, I suppose. All right, Adam, I think you successfully talked me off the beefy boy ledge there. Brandon, I appreciate you trying. Good job. So, all right, so maybe on the sliding scale of nothing burgerness, we could decide that last one's probably nothing burger. We get these from Brady Henderson and then John P. Gilbert of Field Goals with his. This is his response to Brady. And Brady said, Uchenna Nwosu is on the pup to start. Basically, I'm not going to read it verbatim. Essentially, though, the idea is there's not really a timetable yet. He's not particularly close, is what McDonald came back out and said. Again, so Brandon, I'll kick it to you first. On the scale of worry, where are we at? What does this do to the team if Nwosu is just there's no timetable? What do you think the future for Nwosu might be with this team at this point?
Well, I was less worried until last time we talked. You introduced your tum-tum scale to me and how you felt about the Uchenna Nwosu injury, and you made it sound like you had this feeling inside of you that of doom, and so I think it's now appearing on the field, and this is partially to blame on you.
I appreciate that. So, Adam, just to fill in real quick for folks that didn't hear last time, I don't think Nwosu is long for the team at this point. That's my opinion. With the renegotiating where he took less money, he did the team thing to say, I understand I've been injured, I will take less money. He's not close to being out there quite yet. I don't know. It feels like to me it could be a late cap casualty, and that's what John Gilbert was pointing out is they wouldn't be able to do this earlier because of the way the contracts would have been guaranteed. So if they are to move on, it's kind of like they had to wait, I think, is how I read it. But maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting. What do you think about Nwosu's prospects starting the year on the pup? And obviously he can come off at any point. That's how it works nowadays. But on the does this matter meter, where do you put it?
It's like a 3 on the matter meter.
Like out of 4. Like
out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Out of 10. Like, because I just wanted to make sure. Do you have a calendar in front of you? Because if you look on that calendar, it says July 24th, I think is the day that we're doing this right now. We've got well over a month and change away before they even start to suit up, let alone the entire regular season. As far as him being long for the team, as you put it, as I read kind of John Gilbert's tweet here, it sounds like they're on the hook for the guarantees no matter what this year. Like there's really no getting out from under it. So even if he's not close, let's say he misses 5 games and then comes back, there'd be a nice shot in the arm as you're starting to make your push going down the stretch of the season here. And then the other thing I started thinking about when I heard this news, I like Uchenna. He's been a very good player when he's been healthy. And I think he adds to this team, no doubt. We're a better team with a healthy Uchenna Nwosu. But are we even one game better with Uchenna or one game worse without Uchenna? I don't think so. I don't think that he's the scale of player that really swings your season by one game, one way or the other. When you're talking about the depth that's there with Derek Hall and Mafe and the free agent they brought in with DeMarcus Lawrence. So I think that while he could be a very beneficial player to have on the field, I don't think that this is a 5-alarm fire. I don't think it's a 4-alarm. I think it's like a 1-alarm fire. I hope he gets healthy. I hope he can come back. I hope he can be a contributor because we would be better. But I don't know. This doesn't give me the sweats. Doesn't keep me up at night. My tum-tum meter is at half a daddy candy.
Awesome. So Brandon, back to you real quick on that idea of, I liked what Adam was getting at about the sway of the record, right? Because at the end of the day, how does it impact our team? We want to make the playoffs and make a playoff run, of course. So it's like healthy Uchenna, right? Good. We all say, yeah, healthy Uchenna, good. Understand that. And then, but who's the 3 or 4? I'm not ranking the defensive ends, but it does kind of maybe fall. Does it for you? Does it fall off a professional cliff after we get past, let's say, Lawrence's 3?
Well, we're gonna get Trey Hendrickson or Micah Parsons, right? Like then we're really good because the depth we're talking about here on the edge is Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, and DeMarcus Lawrence, who was signed in the offseason, and I think he has that ability to be a key player, and really a player that we didn't have with Uchenna last year. He played 2 games, and so the idea of when I ask myself, what would Nwosu look like in the Mike McDonald defense? It's like we saw it for 2 games, and I don't even remember what that looked like. So my level of concern, it's not that high because we saw what the defense looked like without him, and now to fill in with DeMarcus Lawrence, and maybe there's another option too. I know you're high on Jamie Sheriff, but I hope that. We aren't counting on Jamie Sheriff.
Yeah, and they got him now
as your 4.
Yeah,
like I'm not uncomfortable counting on Jamie Sheriff as your 4.
But they did also move him to a linebacker, a de facto linebacker, right? I guess they could always bring him back
there forever. Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I finished that thought 2 seconds later. They can always bring him back and say, okay, well, you are just
and speaking of things coming out of camp, I Jared Ivey's a name that I've heard come up, and he's a guy who plays on the edge there too. So maybe one of these guys lower on the depth chart end up showing something in the preseason, and we start to get excited there too.
Yeah, maybe Mike Moe bumps outside.
Man,
right.
that'd be nice to see if he can emerge, because this is going on year 3 and is very. I think we were all kind of high on him as he began his time, but he hasn't done much yet in his NFL career. But don't dream it's over, right? Okay, so we're not shaking in our boots over the Nwosu news, and Brandon, I like the idea that we just look at last year versus this year, and like, well, now we have Lawrence. Lawrence is really, really well. First of all, pro's pro, and again, when healthy, one of the best defensive edges against the run in football. And he's going to get a couple of sacks, maybe, and sacks go up and down, right? Maybe we'll have a 7-sack season, maybe it's a 3.5-sack season, but he's awesome against the run. So it's
he's recruiting Micah Parsons to the team. We'll just speak it into existence.
And he's fresh. All right, good.
Best shape of his
he's
life.
Throwing lobs at the Cowboys over Twitter, like just lobbing bombs in there. I love it.
Best shape of his life season for sure. All right, perfect. All right, so then maybe a story that maybe matters a little bit more. And Adam, I'll start with you this time. So the early reports are, and again, day 2, July 24th, we get all that, are that Jalen Sundell is not only competing at center with Olu to see if he could be the starting center, but there might be a 3-man race emerging now at right guard between Christian Haynes, Anthony Bradford, and Jalen Sundell. What do you think, dude? I'll just leave it there for you, because I know you've got ideas about Sundell, and how you feeling about this maybe 3-way race?
Well, the fact that they've now inserted him fully into the right guard race, I think that tells you about what the competition at center was shaking out to be. And it's shaking out exactly as I thought it would. It's going to be Olu, and Olu's a very serviceable center. He's not a Pro Bowler, but he is serviceable. I am fine with Olu at center. So if he's now in this race at right guard, you look at kind of the history of training camps and all that stuff over the years. In general, when there's a big competition at not quarterback, whoever the guy is that kind of gets the first crack at it, he generally isn't the guy when it's all said and done. It generally ends up being one of the other dudes. It's just kind of how it works out. You hear about Bradford looking like he's really put the work in on his body this year and has kind of changed his physique, and maybe that helps him level up a bit here. 15 pounds lighter. He's faster than ever. He's a world beater now, right? And then I think we're all looking at Christian Haynes and thinking, man, you were drafted pretty early. And, honestly, you've got a lot of skills, and I think those skills could fit this offense. So Sundell, like, taking this right guard job, I don't know, 23% chance it happens to me. And the fact that he's getting the first crack at it kind of that lessens it a bit for me, in my opinion. But maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. So how about you, Brandon? And so this is a newer topic for you and I, and the Sundell action and the early pin action he's getting from the reporters out there. it is intriguing. And I guess we also have to look inward at one of our flockers, Brandon. And how would Dave Bloomquist react if not one, but two starting people on our offensive line are from North Dakota State? What would that do to our team? And Dave?
An Olu North Dakota State sandwich in the middle of the offensive line with a combined NFL snap count like on the field of 57 offensive plays. No, Sundell has been on the field for 57 offensive plays.
Oh, there we go.
So that to me, let alone Dave Bloomquist, I mean, for me, that's a little bit terrifying. Like I can handle one highly touted North Dakota State guy who was actually evaluated and drafted in the first round. Like that, I can deal with that. And then, you know, a caliber of center that I'm like, okay, yeah, he can play. But I think when you combine all of that together, then with Sundell, who was an undrafted guy, yeah, it's great that he's in the best shape of his life and worked out a ton this offseason, and that he, you know, he's getting recognized and getting elevated to competing at the spot. But if he wins the job week one, I am going to be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, all right. Take it down.
Yeah, no, that'd be a little bit scary there. And then the other thing you have to keep in mind, like, if the reports are coming out of camp that like, ooh, Sundell's doing so well at right guard in practice, is he wearing pads in this practice photo right over here? Like, are they hitting? Does he have on a toad hat? Because he does. You can't tell anything about what these guys are or aren't on the offensive line until the padded practices happen and it's full contact and you see it go. At least I think for reporters and laymen's like us, I'm sure, you know, the coaching staff and all that, they can get some things out of the drills and all that we do not understand. But I just would take it with a gigantic grain of salt at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. And I do think the one piece that you can potentially see or, you know, start to see inklings of is get the out of the stance stuff that the wider stretch stuff does require, right? That you can maybe see some of that. But again, what happens when you put a human in front of them and you're all padded up? How effective are they in that scenario versus going against air with their calves showing, right? So point well taken. So, okay. So that one,
good looking calves though from this photo.
Those are nice looking calves. They really are. A little oil can Boyd right there. Adam's like, yeah, they're okay calves.
Yeah, they're like 7 calves. They're like 7s.
Like 7 out of 8 though, right? You know, they're pretty good.
It's like 7 out of 7.25. I don't know why you're selling them short.
All right, so let's talk about some day 2 standouts. We heard different reporters, and Brandon, you were saying earlier, and then coaches coming out and talking, and Sam talking. The quick day 2 recap, Skinny, that I would provide is that from what I'm hearing, the rookies had a great day, you know, across the board. Standout rookies can't go anywhere else but to start with Jalen Milroe. That Milroe pushed the ball downfield better today, a lot better, and less checkdowns, and just was zipping the ball everywhere. And this is also the point that I thought was a good one that I heard was, hey, this is not the time in camp where quarterbacks are using their feet at all. So This is just straight going through the process and going through their progressions and firing the ball. So excitement level to hear that Milroe is at least off to a good start on what is day 2, but there, Brandon.
This is one of the ones that I really have to defer to the people who are there. And even then I would almost have to be there myself, because I'm worried about when they talk about Jalen Milroe as like a standout. Is it their own expectations that they're basing this against? Because I feel like throughout this offseason, the expectation level for Milroe has been
that he couldn't hit like a broadside of a barn from 6 inches away. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this guy can actually throw. Like, how much of it is that versus, oh, this guy's actually really good.
Yeah, good point. And reminder, maybe I'll find the graphic thrown up there, that you guys did an awesome Milroe breakdown not too long ago, where you checked out a game that was very fair to him because it wasn't his best game of all time in college, but enough there and a couple of real nice plays where he's working the seam, Adam, really effectively with people in his face, where he's like getting to his third target, it seems like. So exciting, but Brandon makes a good point on like, what level do you think most are grading him on at this point?
As far as the expectations of the media in general, I think I'm right with Brandon. It does seem as if that I guess it made me almost pull my hair out through the draft process when I heard people talk about Jalen Milroe and his throwing ability, because they talked about him like he was freaking Paxton Lynch. Like it was just, or Tim Tebow, right? To pick on only Broncos quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, like I'm like, what are you people watching? Because, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, because it seems like it needs to be said. There's a big, gigantic difference between guys who are crazy inaccurate, who suffer from bouts of accuracy here and there, from guys who are accurate quarterbacks who occasionally suffer from bouts of inaccuracy. And Milroe was the latter. And he's a good thrower of the football. You mentioned the game that we did the breakdown on. He didn't just hit the seams. He attacks all levels of the field, in the pocket, on the run, rolling left, rolling right, middle of the field, outside. He has it all. It's just a matter of marrying it up and doing it with about 15% more consistency. People act like he needs to make this jump from like, he was a 30% completion percentage quarterback, or that he was Anthony Richardson in college. And it's just like, what are you watching? Like you clearly don't understand what accuracy is when you, in comparison to completion percentage, because those are different things.
Yeah.
And Milroe is an accurate quarterback. So I think the expectations are skewed for Milroe for sure, but it shouldn't be surprising that he's gone out there and looked good. Also, you hear Wyman and Bob talking on their show on 710, and they're talking about how good Drew Lock looks. And like, man, he can really spin it, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. I think the concerning part out of this entire discussion is that nobody's being like, damn, Darnold just ripped it up today. Like there hasn't been that report from the first 2 days.
Out of 2 days.
Not that it's important, but you know what I'm saying? Like if you're going to take this news, try to make something of it, that would be my biggest takeaway of it. Be like, that's something you know. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess what I had heard was that Darnold was good today, good. And, and again, it's also what I think is tough to judge. Certainly we're not there, is the idea that like, what talent are they going up against, and who's getting the spoon talent out there, and who's getting, the Ty Akatas out there, who's a good player, right? We push him well. But spoon. So that part's just interesting about like, what's the mix and match like. Overall though, fellas, I think it's exciting. And, I think Milroe, you mentioned Richardson. I think Richardson or Milroe kind of suffers because of how much Anthony Richardson has flamed out. Versus if it was, and we all know Lamar Jackson is that's the ceiling. But if this was, a couple of years ago, where it's like Richardson didn't exist yet, I don't think it would be this much of like this wish casting or this nightmare casting against Milroe that he's really this inaccurate of a quarterback. Now, I guess it's just that he played at the biggest program, right? And they had won and took a small step back, and he was the quarterback. Yeah, it might be as simple as that, right? So he's doing all these things without using his feet quite yet, which is very exciting. But we'll move on. So for folks watching on YouTube.com/Seahawkers podcast, there's a dude in the middle there, Brandon. How many people do you think our flockers will know? But how many Seahawks fans, without who would know who that dude is in the middle, percentage wise? What do you think?
Oh gosh. Well, considering he was just drafted, I don't know if we've gotten all the names and faces down of our draft picks, but I know that for those who are watching practice, they're pretty excited about this wide receiver and what he was able to show off these. I guess it was day 2, right?
Yeah, day 2. So Tory Horton Jr. from CSU. I didn't really know what he looked like, and I was searching for a picture, and I was like, oh yeah, reminding myself that's what the dude looks like. So that's Tory Horton Jr.
I don't even know if I could pick AJ Barner out of a lineup, and it's been a year now.
I know what his voice sounds like more. I feel like he's just
Yeah.
gigantic, by the way, like 6'6", and I think he's like 1,200 pounds at this point. Dude's, I'm a big AJ fan.
I know it's not AJ Barner in the middle though.
How can you tell? So Adam, with Tory Horton, you in the beginning of the year or after the drafts, you were pretty high on him, and I believe one of your things was you I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, that you wouldn't be shocked in the realm of possibilities that Horton becomes like a legit Seahawks 2 by the end of the year. So is that right? Did I capture it right? And does this early, the early spikes in specialness, let's call it that, excite you?
Of the little bit of news here that we're going to talk about with the rookies. So those of you on the audio side, we've got a graphic up here of Milroe, Horton, and Arroyo. The idea that Tory Horton is going out there and starting to light it up already, that's the most exciting news out of this entire graphic, because we're relying on a guy in JSN who has showed for 1 year that he can be a 2A with DK pulling all the coverage and all that. And we're relying on him to be our number one. And then we're relying on Cooper Kupp to put together a full season, which he hasn't done since Biden was president. And with that, that's a little concerning. So if Tory Horton can come out and be what I think he can be, you said, who could recognize this guy off the graphic right now as a Seahawks fan on average?
Yeah.
I couldn't have, short of, I could see the CSU jersey. So I could have put it together that way, but I don't know his face to this point. I don't know his voice. I don't know his personality. But when you watch him on film, his body type and the way he moves, I'm not saying he's this guy, but I'm just saying that it's the way he moves, the effortlessness that he plucks the ball out of the air with, and the way he strides and cuts and all that. He looks like just a slightly smaller Randy Moss. I think in 3 to 4 years, Clinton, the idea that any of us wouldn't recognize his face like that could be absurd. Like, I think he could be that special. And I think he'd have that big of an impact on the offense this year when there's so much upheaval and turmoil in the wide receiver room, losing Tyler Lockett and DK over the offseason.
Brandon, we got Minnie Moss in the 5th round. Are you excited?
I am excited. I mean, with this wide receiving group, he has an opportunity to be a significant part of this roster, even if Kupp is healthy and JSN is healthy. Like, I don't think that it's crazy to think that he could take some snaps away from MVS. So, gosh, if he comes out, lights it up in the preseason, I know that as Seahawks fans, it's kind of in our DNA to get excited about guys picked in the 4th and 5th and 6th round at wide receiver, maybe even 7th round, Clinton. Yes, I'm talking to you. But the idea that there is some legit skill here that he just didn't have the opportunity to show in college, and now he can actually make that leap after it was an injury that kind of kept him out too. So I am excited about it.
Yeah. And by the way, for the record, I only get excited about 7th round wide receivers if they currently play for the New York Giants. That's how it is for me. I just my East Coast bias shines through. Long live Wan'Dale Robinson. All right. So the last guy we have on the graphic here, Adam, like you said, is Elijah Arroyo, rookie tight end out of Miami. Is he a big slot? Can he be a two-way guy? Can he block a little bit? I love this terminology, guys. He's a willing blocker. Well, guess what? I'm a willing billionaire. I'm willing to be a billionaire, Adam. I am very willing to be a billionaire. Yeah. I'm not. But I'm willing. I'm willing to learn. So I love the willing blocker part. With that, again, reports, exciting day, stood out athletically, and also something that for me, I'm not huge on the Arroyo pick yet, but some of the things I heard today were, hey, he made some really tough contested catches. I love that because didn't see a lot of that in Miami because the field's wide friggin' open and Cam Ward's in shotgun clapping his hands and Arroyo's running now, 9 routes all day long. And I don't see contested catches. Not that he can't do it. I'm just like, I don't know if he can do it. So that actually excites me, Adam. Any other parts of the early reporting about
But
Arroyo?
before Adam answers this, let's not gloss over the fact and that you were a big John Ursua truther. Another
absolutely.
7th round pick.
I
So
was too. I can't let him die on that cross on his own.
Well, look, guys, the slotness monster, if he only had gotten an opportunity or two more, all the guy ever did was go out there and, come up a half an ass short from a touchdown against Green Bay. And then he's not playing anymore. Him and Nas Jones, I don't understand why they never got more shots. So
if he would have got that extra half a yard on that one catch for 11 yards, he would have gone on to the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely legendary status. The slotness monster lives on. John Ursua for life. I'm definitely a truther. Thank you. So, all right, Arroyo, excitement, Adam.
Yeah. So I want to change my answer from earlier when you asked me which one I was more excited about, AJ Barner or Arroyo. And it's based solely on this picture that you have on the screen. And it's because the man is 22 years old and he already has living legend tattooed across his forearm. You're 22. You can't even be that. You might as well build a statue of yourself outside of the Colorado Buffalo Stadium, like Shador did. Like, name yourself a legend when you haven't done catfish yet. You're not a legend yet. You can't tattoo that on your arm yet. I admire the confidence, but like that's a little disconcerting right there.
Well,
who's on the other side of the forearm? Do you know that is in fact tied to him and not who maybe it's meant for somebody else.
Maybe it's a tribute. I don't know.
Maybe
well,
that would make more sense. That would make more sense.
Drop it in the comments. Totally cool if it is. So, and Brandon, how about you on the Arroyo news? And again, for me, it was the contested catches stuff coming out, being like he's making some acrobatic type catches and just really battling out there, which is cool. And Darnold will throw it in a tight window. He's not, especially to his tight ends, he's not afraid to try tight window stuff. So we're going to need that. Does that get you goosed a little bit?
I don't know if it does yet, because when it comes to a lot of our early round draft picks, I really want to see it. Whereas, with the Horton stuff, I can allow myself to get excited because the expectation isn't as high, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. My expectation level is already higher with our first 3 picks.
Okay, fair enough.
I would add the caveat that we're talking about the big news event of this report is that he was good at contested catches in this practice. The DBs aren't padded. The DBs can't do like half the crap that they can do in
actually contest the catch.
Right. So like, that's one of those where I kind of take it and go, okay. I mean, be cool if that's how it works out. But like, that doesn't seem like a lot of evidence to this point.
Yeah, that's totally fair. All right. Well, I think that was a nice round the horn for what might actually matter, and on the scale of, does it at all matter? And could it be consequential? I think we did a nice job parsing those things out and talking ourselves either closer or further away from the proverbial ledge and going off. But we're starting the episode where we're ending where we started, which is we're excited, right? It's July 24th. We're now, I don't know, guys, what are we, like 45 days away from kickoff? It's not very far.
The planner. How many days is it? It's like 4 months away as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. But
I don't allow myself to start counting days until we actually get a preseason game in.
So basically sometime in August. All right. Well, there are some things that we'd love people to go do. Adam, we're all good at this. I think, Adam, you might be best at throwing the guilt trip on people. Look, the YouTube algorithm has not been that kind to us recently, although I feel like our efforts there. What can people do, YouTube, and of course, how do they support the show if they want to go out there and, do a little value for value?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're really practice what you preach as a person and like are fighting the oligarchy and the tech billionaires and all that, we're trying to crush our tiny little show with our hopes and dreams to not have to slave away for the Forest Service or spin narratives for different companies across the country and give them their shine. Then, you could, just take the effort. I mean, because it's so much effort to go and click the subscribe button or the like button. And, and if you don't, not just a puppy will die, but also a unicorn if you don't. So let's not have any unicorn tears. Go ahead and click those buttons. Do it now or later. I'll leave that up to you. But either way, the guilt will get you.
Save the unicorns by going to getintheflock.com.
Beautiful, boys. I think with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
go Hawks.